Evening, everybody, and welcome to another podcast from the WM32 Football Podcast. Our From the Dugout series is back tonight, and I have to say I am joined by a very, very special guest, someone who I have got to know fairly well over the last couple of years or so. And he has his own football coaching business, football coaching setup in and around Oxfordshire and sort of in and around the Bicester area as well. So I'm delighted to be joined by the one and only Jamie Cassidy. Jamie, how are you doing this fine evening, my man?
I'm okay. Thanks for having me, mate. Really appreciate you having me on. How are you? You all good?
Yeah, all good. Thank you for asking. And guys, if you do have a question related to football coaching in particular, then please feel free to pop it in the comment section, and we will go through them at the end of the podcast as well. Big shout out to Holly Agambar, Holly Hotspurs. Thank you for watching, Holly.
I
So
presume
Jamie,
I presume Holly's a Tottenham fan.
she is indeed. She is indeed. She's a big Tottenham fan. Big
Oh
Tottenham
dear.
fan. And
Let's not say anything then. I won't say anything at the moment.
thanks for that. Yeah, and Holly is YouTube royalty as well, so I'm glad that she
Right,
is
right.
watching tonight. But Jamie, the first question that I have for you is: can you just give us a little bit of an insight into your coaching journey so far, and kind of the work that you're doing at the minute?
Yes. So coaching journey as when I started, or now, or both.
We'll go from when you started.
Okay.
Take us right the way back from when you started, and if you can, then bring us to sort of present day.
Yeah, of course. So coaching journey. So I did all my coaching qualification, well, most of them at Bicester Community College at sixth form. So I did my level 1, my level 2, and my UEFA B license at Bicester Secondary School. So I spent 3, maybe 4 years there doing that. I then started off at Oxford United for a good 6 months, I'd say, when I was 16. So I was doing the half-term camps, doing some after-school clubs, and then I moved on to MK Dons. So I went and worked for MK Dons for, I'd say, maybe a year and a half, 2 years, doing similar stuff. So I was doing half-term camps, evening sessions, the odd birthday party as well. So working in the set stuff, the MK Dons set. And then I was doing a bit of shadowing in the academy every so often. I then moved on and went to Reading for a little stint. I probably there again for about a year, I'd say. I was working in their development centre in Oxfordshire. So I was there for about a year. And then again, doing bits and bobs shadowing in the academy on the rare occasion that I remember. I then left and worked for a company in Warwickshire, coaching company called Onside. Really good company again, doing multi-sport stuff. So I was working in our school clubs, then the holiday camps, etc. But then I had a bit of a burning desire to set my own stuff up at some point. So I kind of was in and out, working for different places. And the dream was to work in a first team setup at a pro club at some point, as I'm sure we all do. Again, which I'll talk about more later on. But then it dawned on me that I wanted to set up my own stuff. So before I moved on to before I moved on to my own stuff, whilst I was still working at Onside in Warwickshire, I had a small stint at Northampton Town doing their development stuff. So I've been to a number of clubs as well. So I did their development centres and stuff, as I had a few contacts at Northampton Town, who some of their coaches came to Bicester Community College and got their qualifications. So I knew a few of them there. So obviously speaking to a lot of them about working for the club. So I did I think about 6 months there in their development centre. And then after the development centre, I then made the decision of jumping and setting up my own stuff in Bicester, Oxfordshire. So I've been doing that for coming up to 10 years now. So that's where we're at, really. So yeah, so 10 years running my own stuff, Jamie Cassidy Soccer Schools, after school clubs, evening sessions, half-term camps, birthday parties, one-on-one sessions, And obviously we run our own little academy with 3 teams in, like, as you know, we've played you guys. So
Yep. Yeah, no, and I
yes,
have to say,
long story. So
yeah. No, it's brilliant to kind of see where you were as a young lad and things like
yeah.
that to obviously where you are now. And as you mentioned there, I know our two kind of setups have played each other over the last
Yep.
sort of couple of years or so, and I have to say, the games are always really good and really,
Yeah,
really
yeah.
competitive as well.
Absolutely.
Score lines aside. But Jamie, did you, as a young lad, kind of growing up, want to be a coach, or when as you started getting into being a little bit older, those teenage years, or was it a case of something that you fell into, or what? So did you always want to be a coach?
Yeah, so as I'm sure we all dream of being a professional footballer, that was obviously the number one. But I used to go to Old Trafford, being a Man United fan, a lot with my dad, years ago. So for about 3-4 years, we'd go once, twice a month, and I remember, but we'd get in mega early because that's what we were like. We'd get in mega early to the point where the players would just come out and warming up. And I remember just being fascinated by watching the warm ups and the drills they were doing and stuff like that. So I probably there was a very small bit of time where I wanted to be a physio, and I wrote to the Man United physio at the time, Rob Swire, about the qualifications, what you needed, and actually he actually wrote back to me with uni like courses that I needed to do and everything. So I'd say for about 6 months I wanted to be a physio, but after that I just got more and more into coaching, and I think I was really intrigued by. I used to watch it like differently, the football. I used to like think, oh God, bring this person on, bring that person on, or change this, change the formation. And I think what really, this sounds really silly, and you'll probably laugh at this, and maybe you've done this as well. But what really, really got me into wanting to become a coach one day was good old LMA manager or championship manager.
Yeah.
You're probably a little bit too young to remember LMA manager, but me and my best friend, we used to play LMA manager for hours and hours and hours religiously. Like, I mean religiously. We literally when you could play two player, we
Mhm.
actually flipped a coin and who would be Man United. He won, unfortunately. So I would pick I played as Chelsea for 2 seasons, and I helped him win the double by beating Arsenal last game of the season.
Blimey.
So yeah, there you go. But no, it was just the tactical tweaks in LMA and Championship Manager, and no, I was just fascinated by like just everything, like the formations and tactics and the way the players train. I think to answer the question short, yes, absolutely. I think I always wanted after not being able to play the management side, absolutely yes, definitely wanted to be a coach.
Yeah, no, that's wicked, and I definitely get it's more Football Manager now, isn't it, for those that are a little bit younger? But I definitely get the
Yes.
reference. I'm an avid Football Manager player
Yeah,
myself,
yeah, yeah.
as well. Spend many hours on
Oh,
playing it and things like that.
it's time consuming, isn't it? You don't realize how many hours go by and how many late nights go by playing it. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, no, definitely,
Brilliant.
and it's never just one more game either.
No,
Anybody that
no,
plays Football Manager knows it is not just one
never,
last game.
never.
Brilliant. And Jamie, you mentioned there as well about potentially being a Man United fan and getting
Mhm.
into the ground early. And I imagine the great Sir Alex is somebody as a coach that you looked up to with fondly. But are there any others that you would say along your coaching journey so far that you've looked up to?
Yeah, so obviously the obvious one is Sir Alex. And what I absolutely loved about him was growing up, obviously, absolutely blessed with the success that we had. We were absolutely blessed with the success that we had. And I just remember that team of 2008 that won the Champions League and the Premier League. It was just phenomenal. But I think, with Sir Alex, it was just the fact that he could churn out a new team every 4 or 5 years, reproduce it, and not just the team that people seem to forget. He changed his backroom staff every 4 or 5 years to keep it fresh. It was absolutely fantastic. But other coaches, I'd say off the top of my head, I hate to admit it, but Guardiola, just the Barcelona team. Oh my God, being a United fan, losing to Guardiola's teams twice against Barcelona in the finals were heartbreaking. I'd say Guardiola, Pochettino, as you know. unreal. What he's done or did at Spurs was phenomenal, and just the style of play was fantastic, just unbelievable. Trying to think of who else maybe done the years like younger. I mean, I wasn't a massive Jose fan because it was quite negative. However, he got the job done, and I think that was another not inspiration, but just churning out results. It doesn't have to be pretty, does it? Just churning out results, just get them done. I'd say mainly them, to be honest. I mean, Southgate for England in that World Cup where we finally got to a semi-final and the World Cup. But yeah, I'd say Ferguson, Guardiola at the Barcelona, just the style of play, and Pochettino. Just what resources he had to make them play like that and get into that final. Just unreal.
And
Unreal.
as Holly's put there, he's magic, in reference to Pochettino. But no, obviously some really stellar names there in the world of football coaching and football management.
Well, I must throw out one which I really enjoyed at my time at MK Dons was Roberto Di Matteo.
Yeah.
I mean, he was fantastic at MK Dons. I know he didn't get them up and he only had one season and he got them to the playoffs in third place, but the football they played that I remember was brilliant. It was absolutely fantastic. I'd even throw Carl Robinson in as well.
Yeah.
Some of the football he played as well at Oxford, with some of the connections I have at Oxford United, it's not gone well this season, but the last few years with the resources they've had, again, great attacking football again. I mean, I'm quite an attacking minded coach, so I'd rather win 6-4 than win 1-0. But that's just me. So
yeah, no, definitely. And I remember Di Matteo at MK Dons. I had a season ticket at MK at the time, and I remember that particular playoff semi-final defeat to Scunthorpe, I believe, which is crazy to think of it now because Scunthorpe have just got relegated from the National League, and I know MK have been relegated from League One and will be in League Two next season as well. So yeah, I remember that and things. So yeah, when you mentioned Di Matteo, I was like, know exactly the Nike kit and everything.
Absolutely, yeah.
And even Carl Robinson. I was fortunate enough to meet him. I used to coach one of his daughters as well. For another company that I was working for at the time, and yeah, he was always a really, really nice guy, and played some really good football, and got MK Dons into the Championship, which was unheard of and really kind of unfancied at the time. And again, limited resources and done a fantastic job.
Well, there's one other manager that I forgot to mention that I really love. Just his all-round aura, his professionalism, coaching, and what he's done. And I think is really, me personally, I think he gets really underrated. And that's big Carlo Ancelotti. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah,
I think he's absolutely top class, and just his professionalism and the way he goes about it. And when you read stuff about him from ex-players, no one has a bad word against him. You don't read any player that says anything bad about him, and I just think he's top class.
Yeah, no, definitely agree. And Jamie, you mentioned there about being an attack-minded kind of coach. Would you say that is part of your sort of coaching philosophy? I know we're going to go into sort of playing style in a minute, but
yeah.
In terms of your philosophy as a coach, what would you say that is?
Definitely attack minded. We always want to, if the philosophy was just be on the front foot as much as possible, definitely attacking minded. If we've got the ball, that means then they can't hurt us. So yeah, it's definitely attacking minded. At the end of the day, as kind of as cheesy as it sounds, people pay their money. Well, at football games, put it this way, people pay their money to football games to be entertained. That's how I see it. And attacking football is entertaining, I think. Just me personally. So and also when I think as myself as a player, either when I was growing up playing football or in five-a-side matches, I want to play attacking football. I want to be enjoying it. I think if you're playing attacking football, you're enjoying yourself more, I think. Unless you're a defender. Because then you love defending.
Yeah, no, definitely. Unless you're somebody that is a defender that is a bit more elegant these days and likes to come out with the ball and have a little wander, and you might not always like
Absolutely.
defending.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then, would you say, Jamie, have like a defined way of playing with your coaching setup that you have, or would you say it depends on the group that you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. So ideally, with our academy in the business, the philosophy is attacking minded. So of course, it depends on the group that we have, but it's your it's your job as a coach to coach them the way you want to improve them. So yeah, we try and promote and the philosophy is attacking football, get the ball down and play out from the back. But obviously, if it's not on, go long as a plan B. Press high, pressing I think high up the pitch means that we force mistakes, which means we're high up the pitch. But attacking philosophy wise, absolutely, we try and promote it in our academy. We try and install it into the players in the academy part of the business that we want to be on the ball, we want to be attacking, we want to be positive, but also we're not naive to think that players aren't going to make mistakes. We want them to make mistakes. That's the only way they're going to learn. We always say in team talks before or in training that you're all going to make a mistake, and that's okay. As long as if you're brave, be brave. I don't know if Guardiola said this, but I saw it somewhere, and I might be completely wrong. Someone might tell me, but I think the saying is something like "have the ball, enjoy the ball," something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we try and say to players: want the ball, encourage, have it, demand it, and then when you've got the ball, be brave on it, and enjoy it, try new things. We're not going to shout at you for making mistakes. We want you to, be bold, express yourself on the pitch. Let's attack. We always say to our teams, we want you to pepper the opposition's goal with shots, lots of shots. I don't care if we have 30 shots and only 4 on target. More practice makes perfect. So let's be bold, let's be brave, let's press high up. I mean, we took all 3 of our teams to, and I'm sure you've seen on our social media, but we took our teams to the West Bromwich Albion Play on the Pitch Stadium tournament yesterday. And it was our 8's first time, the 9's second tournament in 2 years, and the 10's were playing in their 3rd year in a stadium tournament. And our 10's have obviously been with us the longest, so I'm going to highlight them. And they made 3 years in 3. They made 3 finals in 3 years. They won the group yesterday with 9 points. And we got 4 clean sheets in 5 games, scoring lots of goals for our 10's. The 9's again topped their group, and the 8's finished 3rd in their group. All 3 groups were excellent, but the 10's 3rd year in a row making in a final was absolutely fantastic. And I think that's because of the ethos that we have of just trying to play attacking football as much as possible. Obviously, as you know yourself as a coach, obviously there are times where you need to be a bit more defensive with who you're coming up against. But we want to be attacking. Philosophy wise, definitely, to answer your question short, be attacking, be on the front foot, press high up the pitch, be brave, be positive. So yeah.
Just as well, you're not a Spurs fan, because I think we've all been starved of that over the last sort of five years or so. And I think Holly makes the point there of I love attacking football when our defence is good. So yeah, I think
Well,
obviously.
I take Holly's point because it helps when I'll go back to my academy. We've got some really good defenders, but not just good defenders. And like you raised earlier, not just good defenders, but defenders who can play out from the back, who can bring the ball out. So we do encourage that as well. Defenders are also part of the team, and also the goalkeeper as well. As I'm sure you know, the goalkeeper's not just there to stop the ball anymore. He's got to be part of an outfield player. So that's what we also encourage. Play back to the keeper who then plays it. So yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, perfect. And with your academy hat and head on, are there any sort of qualities that you look for in players when they potentially want to come along? Are you after the more technically gifted players, or are you after the players who are a bit more physical? So what sort of qualities are you looking for if a player wants to join your academy setup?
I'd say the technical part is the massive part. Physical, not so much. That's just a bonus, to be honest. You only have to look at someone like Messi, not the biggest, but technically unreal. I know that's a huge comparison. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong, but I just think the days of picking someone who's physically stronger than the others is going now. For me, it's going. I think for me, if you're smaller than the rest, but technically you're quicker and better on the ball, that for me is what I would look for. We look for leaders as well, good communicators, people who are technically brilliant, like we said, technically brilliant, good communicators, but also great personalities, good personalities within the group. As you know, probably yourself, you've got to have someone who, is great at talking to the others, great at bringing the others up when you're losing, great to motivate the team. But yeah, someone being physically bigger than the others, something isn't really something that we look for too much. It's more the technical side, technical, how they are with the group, communication, and just personality wise for me.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And would you say then with those particular qualities, is that a bias, maybe an unconscious one from yourself that you perhaps don't necessarily realize? Do you have that kind of bias towards certain types or individuals?
Um, possibly, I'd say maybe. But for me, even if you're a foot taller than the rest, but you're technically absolutely brilliant, then that to me is brilliant as well. Just the physical part is just an added bonus. Um, yeah, maybe, possibly, but for me, if you've got the right attitude, your great personality, then that for me is already brilliant because if you're slightly technically behind the rest, then that's our job then to coach you and to help you bring you on. That for me is our job then as coaches to train, coach you to help you catch up to the rest. If you're technically better than the rest, but your attitude's poor, then that for me is something that you know would discourage me, to be honest. So I would take players on with fantastic attitudes, good around the group, have a great support behind them, and then obviously technically brilliant would be absolutely yes. But yeah,
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I've obviously seen that firsthand, having played you, as we mentioned earlier, a good few times, and yeah, I would definitely say that those types of characteristics are in near enough, probably 90%, if not 100% of all of your players. And I know you're
okay.
probably not going to get it all in every one,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
would
yeah.
say the majority of them all definitely have those qualities there that you mentioned.
Mm.
And Jamie, you mentioned earlier as well, you have your UEFA B.
Yep.
Is there any burning desire from you to get any more coaching qualifications? UEFA A, are you looking at potentially talent ID qualifications as well?
Yep.
So have you got any, further thoughts in terms of gaining more qualifications, coaching, or maybe even talent ID wise?
Yeah, so absolutely. One of my goals in the next 5 years is to do my A license. A license massively. I've got a few. I'm thankfully I'm quite lucky to have a few connections that could possibly help me to do that. Might is the answer, but as you know yourself, the courses they're not easy to get onto all the time. They're great courses, but they're not easy to get on all the time. But obviously it's the time as well, finding the time, etc., etc. But the A license is yes, massive one that I want to do, and then eventually I want to again have a crack at maybe doing the pro license 10, 15 years time. But absolutely, the goal for the next 5 years is to get my A license. Massive. I've done the old talent ID. I can't remember what it's called. I can't. They've changed it all, haven't they? They've changed all the names of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've got my level 1 in goalkeeping, so I'd like to do whatever the next one's called. I don't know what that's called.
Yeah.
And I've got my what was called the level 1 in the disabled coaching, so I'd like to do that as well. Again, no idea what it's called now. So I definitely the A license is a massive goal of mine to do in the next 3, 4, 5 years, and then obviously the next disabled coaching course and the next goalkeeping course. I don't know what they're called now. Level 2, B, C, whatever they're
your
called.
way for C, or potentially a level 2
Yeah.
in those. But no, sounds wicked. And for that, anybody that's listening that perhaps doesn't have any sort of understanding, a UEFA B license allows any coach to pretty much work near enough anywhere in the world. You can have the opportunity to work in a professional football club, in an academy, as a coach, and then the A license, you can work a little bit higher up within an academy, and I think you can even manage as well. So there's people.
Well, you can manage for a certain amount of time, like Will Steele, remember?
Yeah. And I believe even when Frank Lampard was at Derby, I know he only had his A license, but he was on the path to do his pro license. I believe you get invited in to do the pro license, and it's not a course you can just apply to go on. So the UEFA A license for us coaches is, UEFA B is a holy grail, but the A license is the one that allows us to work really, really high up within football clubs. Just to give people again that perhaps didn't know that little bit of context. And with your knowledge and experience, Jamie, what would you say could be done to help coaches develop that little bit more and that little bit further?
In what way? Are you thinking?
Is it, could there be more accessible CPD events potentially across sort of county FAs, different things like that?
Yeah. So for me, like over the years of doing coaching and stuff, I feel like there's a lot of how do you put it? I feel there needs to be a lot more courses put on, like you said, CPDs and stuff. I feel like there needs to be more courses put on for like the A licenses, the B licenses, because there's such a high demand for it. I mean, I just personal experience. When I had a look at the A license the other day about what was on, I didn't even realize that it all sold out, and the interest, and you have to register your interest again. And I just think if you do it, like you put on so many coaches will do it, and the courses are not cheap either. So maybe possible looking at a reassessment at the costs. I mean, maybe they put it on because venue costs of running it, and the costs of it, and that's why the courses are that much. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not slating the cost. I just don't know why they're that much, and maybe it's that because of that. But I think more accessibility for courses, definitely CPDs. I think as well, stuff that we're possibly going to look into as a business is like coaches' evenings. So obviously we're based in Bicester. We run the business in Bicester, but there's so many grassroots coaches who do great jobs at their football clubs, and they're part-time. Their full-time jobs are other things. And I've always been approached by coaches at grassroots clubs who want to learn more things and have asked me for advice and asked me for coaching sessions. So maybe more coaches meetings, like once a month meetings with coaches and stuff like that. Coffee mornings, maybe, like just simple little things like that the FA could maybe run, or county FAs, or stuff like that. Stuff that we're looking into as a business to help out, or just little things like that, to be honest. Or maybe professional clubs could put on things for coaches, stuff like that. Like maybe like training days at the training centre, at their training grounds, and or watching first team train once a month or once a season, where maybe coaches are invited to, I don't know, professional clubs, and they get to watch I know sometimes teams do open training sessions for fans and stuff like that, but maybe an open training session for coaches, qualified coaches, or coaches that want to get qualifications to watch the training sessions with one of the coaches explaining what they're doing and stuff like that. I just think little things like that would help out so many people, and like coaches. Just things like that I think really help out. And I think to answer part of your question about accessibility for coaches, one of my big things that frustrates me, and I don't know if this frustrates you as well, one of the biggest thing that frustrates me in coaching, and I don't know if you've kind of had the shared dream of wanting to become a first team manager at a professional club, or first team coach, or anything in the first team setup in a professional game, men's or women's, is, and I have a good friend of mine who agrees with me, who I won't name, but he's an ex-professional, and he has agreed with me. It comes across as, if you're not an ex-professional, sometimes you don't get a look in for these jobs in the academies or professionals. And I know I've seen people tweet it before, and there are some fantastic coaches out there who haven't played professionally. And I know there's a few like Jose who didn't play professionally and a few others, but I feel like at times that, and just a personal opinion, that if you haven't played professionally, then sometimes you don't always get a look in. And I think there needs to be more of a diverse range of fairness in that sense. In that sense.
Yeah, no, wicked answer. And would you say something like mentoring? How does that kind of sit with you?
Massively. I would encourage that massively. Like coaches who want to start out, or people who are interested with if getting into coaching, that would be, yeah, I completely would encourage that mentoring. Absolutely.
There you go. I've just given you a business idea. You can
There
have
you
that
go.
one. You can have that one for free.
Why do you think I've got the pad ready to write it down?
Brilliant. Last one from me then, Jamie, before we kind of wrap it up, I guess, for the evening. I've got a question as well in the comments. What advice would you give to young coaches that are looking to start out on their journey?
Oh, that's a good one. What advice would I give? I would say, what I would say is be prepared to learn as much as possible. I would say be selfish in the sense of put yourself first and learn. Get your qualifications done, your introduction to football, your B license, and then eventually do your A. Watch, just be a human sponge. Take it all in. Watch YouTube sessions of coaching sessions. Go on, read books, just do as much as you can. Play Football Manager, enjoy Football Manager. Go to as many football matches as possible and take in, really. I mean, my wife always says to me when I'm watching, honestly, I'm a nightmare watching my own team, but she always says to me, have a day off, because I'm always saying stuff like, oh, take him off, change it. Why is he not changing formation? She always says to me, just have a day off and be a fan, but you just can't. My advice would be, just be prepared to learn, learn as much as possible, and also go abroad, experience abroad, go coaching abroad for the first year or two if you can, if you can, allowed to by that country, as in like visas and stuff. Go abroad, watch other countries, watch other teams, get more of an understanding of different philosophies from other cultures. Just try and learn as much as possible. Be an absolute human sponge to other philosophies. Do as many coaching courses as you can, and just be open-minded to learn and get as much experience as you can, would be for me.
Yeah, no, wicked. And I get the whole going abroad thing as well, because I did a summer out in America for Challenger Sports, and
Nice.
I was in the Denver region, so I had like Colorado and Utah and things like that. And honestly, it was the best summer of my life, I would say.
Yeah.
I experienced so much. I learned so much about myself. Obviously,
yeah, absolutely.
Not only just living away from home whilst being at university, but completely different country. And
yeah,
I absolutely loved it. And I still reference that period even now. When I go into work and things like that.
And I'd even say, just like I said about the learning, just be prepared to work hard, because it's, as you know yourself, it's not going to come gift wrapped. You've got to work hard at it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And Holly, who has been spamming the comments, by the way, so big up to Holly, has come up with an absolute wonderful question for us. And it's obviously for you, Jamie. Did you find it hard to make that switch from working for a club to then starting out on your own?
Yes and no. No, because I then became my own boss, and it gave me the drive to make it a success, as I'm sure you probably have had that same feeling. So in that sense, in that part, no, because it gave me the drive to be successful, make it how I want it, and mold the business and the coaching and how I run my sessions and how I run the business into how I want it to be, and also the drive that, oh God, I'm the boss, so it's got to be successful now. It's me. I've got to do it now. I can't rely on someone else. Yes. Was I scared? Yes. And did I find it hard? No, in that sense. And then yes, in the other sense, in the sense that, oh God, what happens if it doesn't work out and I've made the jump? Yes, it was hard because I then had to go out there and find the business. I had to then promote myself. I had to find the work and do that part. So no, because it was me. I was the boss. I could shape it into what I want. I could, run the sessions how I wanted to, my philosophy, my way. Yes, because I've got to make it a success. And as you know yourself, yes, because you've got to get the work, you've got to brand it, you've got to draw people in to come to your sessions and stuff. So no, really good question. So very good question. So
yeah, no, definitely, and I think I completely understand where you're coming from, in the sense of, it's nice to have something that you can call your own, and you work hard and you put in all the hours, and then
absolutely.
when you get the rewards, which might be a specific target that you have in mind for kids coming onto your camps and stuff like that, when that comes off and you go, yes, this is the reward, and things like
massively.
that.
But and when you get, and like I said, I'm sure you've had it plenty of times, when you get parents message you saying, oh, they've had blah blah blah's had such a great time, thank you so much, or blah blah blah's learned so much over the last blah blah blah. That's when you think, yeah, I enjoy this. This is why I do this. This is why I've set up my own thing. This is, like I said, we went and took our teams to the Hawthorns Stadium tournament from playing on the pitch yesterday, and when you stand there and you've seen your three teams playing with your logo on it, and one of one of your teams makes the final and the other two teams do really well, you sit back and go, yeah, I'm proud. This is why I've done it. So
yeah,
no.
and I also get it from the sense of, you are now the decision maker. So whereas before, when you're working at different clubs, it's like you have somebody that you would refer to, and that's almost like your boss. Whereas now people are coming to you as the boss, if you like, and saying like, oh, I need this, or I need extra equipment. And it can be tricky. And like you mentioned as well, in terms of finding that extra business, I think it's not easy.
No.
And yeah, I mean, I have a newfound love for self-employed people and people who need to, generate that work and that income to make it what they want. And that goes for any business. That's not just football and the football business world. That could be, my dad's a self-employed painter and decorator, so I know some of the stuff, some of the things that he's had to go through over his time being self-employed and things like that. But I completely get where you're coming from.
I think it's at the end of the day, like you just said, regardless if it's football coaching, sports coaching, or paint and decorator, I truly believe the ethos is you kind of get out what you put in, isn't it? If you put in so much effort, so much hard work, the hours, then you'd like to think that you're going to churn up something that's absolutely fantastic. And if you're not going to put in the hours and not put in a lot of effort, then you're probably not, are you? So
no, definitely. And we've just had a question literally coming in from my mum, no less.
Hello.
So thank you, Mum. Biggest fan. Thank you. But my mum's question to you, Jamie, is, from when you first started out coaching until now, how have players changed in terms of their attitudes and different trends in terms of playing patterns and things like that? Surprised my mum's come up with that, because she hates football. But that's a wicked question from my mum.
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
Is she a Spurs fan as well?
Adopted Spurs fan. She hasn't really got much choice with my household.
Adopted, i.e. forced.
Yeah.
Right, got it. Oh God, that's a really good question. I would say, I would say yes, attitudes have changed. definitely attitudes have changed since I started coaching. I mean, I started coaching maybe 17 years ago. I think the biggest thing that I've noticed in coaching, I don't know if you've noticed, is I feel sometimes we try, and not just in coaching, but in society as general, in schools and stuff, possibly, that we try and think for the kids rather than let them try and work out problems themselves. And I find as well that we don't, we I don't know how to put it. So kids nowadays, they seem to be just too. Put it this way, I'm glad that I grew up in a generation where there were no phones, iPads, TikTok. Not that there's anything wrong with them. Just I
Mhm.
would prefer that. I'm pleased that I didn't grow up in that generation, because when I finished school, it was straight to the park, meeting up with friends, having a kickabout straight away.
Yeah.
There was no phones, no iPads, nothing like that, and that just seems to be. Sometimes I find that kids are too reliant on their phones, iPads, and stuff, rather than, that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no,
That's just the
definitely.
attitude shift, kind of, and obviously social media is a huge part nowadays. Huge part. I mean, that's one thing I've noticed in the last 17 years. Social media has just exploded for the good as well. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. Brilliant social media. Obviously, it helps businesses like ourselves, mine and yours.
Yeah.
Um, but sometimes kids are quite too, at times, social media happy rather than going straight out having a kickabout. So I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree or not, but
Yeah, no, I was similar to you in the sense that I grew up in that time where, computers were coming into
yeah,
life, and stuff like that. And yeah, I was the same as you. Come half terms, I'd either be at a football camp, or if I got too old for those, it'd be right. Grab a group of
yeah,
mates, we'd go out, play football for the day.
yeah.
Your mum or dad would give you a fiver, and that would last you.
Or
And
or you come home when the street light starts flickering. You know it's time to
yeah,
go
yeah,
home.
yeah, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I completely get it. In terms of, I think kids seem to be more aware, but socially it seems
Mm,
that they are a lot more social conscious
mm.
now, and wanting to be liked.
Yeah,
I
totally
have
agree.
another job as a PE teacher, and that is a huge thing, I think,
Mm.
with young people today. It's that fear of, oh, I don't really want to upset because I don't want to be not liked by
Yeah,
people. But I think as a person, for me anyway, just stay true to yourself and who
yeah,
you are, and people will probably like you, or if they don't, then that's,
yeah.
obviously on them. But yeah, I think there's been a massive shift in attitudes, from younger players. I think the younger players that I work with in particular, I think there's a real thirst and energy to improve, and they want a lot
Mm,
more.
mm.
I think as footballers now than compared to, when I was growing up as a player. Obviously we didn't have the whole performance analysis,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
video and data, and
Oh
but I
god.
think kids now want it.
Yeah.
And I think that is a massive part almost
And
of what
and
we
I
do
think
as
as well,
coaches.
not just kids want it, the parents want it as well. That's
Yeah,
another. I don't know if you've noticed, but that's one thing I've noticed as well. With, like you said, with the video analysis
yeah,
and all the data, it's not just the kids that want it, the parents want it as well.
yeah,
So that's
yeah. No,
definitely one thing I've noticed, and I don't know if you agree on that.
yeah, no, definitely. And I think in terms of playing styles as well, I mean, growing up, it was like a lot of longer ball and
Yeah,
stuff like that. And then Pep decided, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm going to try and basically reinvented football. And then all of a sudden, you noticed it was more about the technical players
yeah.
for a good period of time, and things like that. And I always say, for me, Spain dominating football the way they did for
Oh,
that 4-year period was the
yeah,
best thing. It was unfortunate for me because I mean, I was a small diddy little player.
yeah, yeah.
And I feel like if I'd have perhaps come through a little bit later, I might have had half a chance. Who knows? Touch wood
Mm,
anyway.
mm.
But yeah, I think the way that they did it, people then took notice and went, oh, so it's not about the 6 foot, the big,
Yeah,
the quick, the athletic players. Actually, the smaller ones can play just as good, if not better, when they are put
yeah,
into, a right environment. But again, I think playing patterns are shifting again, and it's about how quickly can you counterattack, and how good are you as a team in transitions and stuff like that. So
I think the other biggest attitude that I've noticed as well is the whole general society, and that football's got very diverse now in the last few years with everything, which is absolutely fantastic. You only have to look at, for me, so my daughter plays girls football. She plays for a team, for her local team, and I'd say 5 years ago she had to play for a boys team because there weren't many girls teams. So the attitudes in girls now playing football is not that it wasn't accepted, but it was kind of like, oh, a girl's playing football, she must not be that good. When we all know that's rubbish, that's garbage. It's a rubbish attitude to have, and it's an unacceptable attitude to have. But now you kind of because like and massive credit to FIFA, UEFA, the FA for absolutely promoting girls football, so they should have done. It's just exploded, absolutely exploded, and the amount of girls now that we have seen on our holiday camps and evening sessions, and I had a text today from a parent saying my girl absolutely loves football. Do you have any sessions available? It's just phenomenal, and that should have happened years ago. It should have. So that's one big thing I've noticed, that society's not accepting. That's probably the wrong word, but is now encouraging like the growth in girls, women's football, and the fact that England won the Euros last year has absolutely 100% helped more girls play football. Because why shouldn't they be allowed to play football? Why shouldn't it be as big as the men's game? It should absolutely be. I mean, I went to the Women's FA Cup final last week as a United fan. It was my birthday as well, so it got spoilt losing to Chelsea in the final. But being in a crowd, we obviously took my daughter, obviously a United fan as well, but being in a record crowd of 79,000 people watching at Wembley in a Women's FA Cup final, that's how it should be. That is absolutely how it should be, and it was absolutely fantastic. So that is one massive attitude change I've seen in the last, since I've been coaching, is the girls' football exploding, and so it should. It should absolutely be exploding, because girls should be on the same level as the boys.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think I've seen it on my camps as well, where you look at it and the boys are a little bit nervous when they see girls, because they don't necessarily know how to take them. And then all of a sudden you'll put on a little practice or something, and the girls and they go, wow. Okay. Like they then realize that girls are as able, if not more able than them. And then they go, right, okay. And you see it in the mini matches like all the time, where the boys try and dominate, and it's all of a sudden the girl will do something outrageous, and you go, wow. And then the boys go, okay, yeah, she's decent, I can give her the ball now, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And I think that's changing.
And they shouldn't be thinking like that, should they? They should be waiting to see if they're any good. It should just be equal. It should just be equal. And I said to my wife and my daughter last week at Wembley, I really truly believe that the women's football teams will be playing in Premier League stadiums weekly, every week in the next 10 years. I truly believe it, because I just think it will explode. I think the women's football will just go massive in the next 5-10 years, and so it should. Like I said, so it should. They should be equal to the men.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I hope that there is the supply for girls teams, or grassroots level, enthusiastic parents, because that's what it is a lot of the times that take on teams. And I think as long as that supply is there, I think we'll be fine. And I think girls football in particular, I work with quite a lot of them, and actually their technical ability is, it's right up there. And I think girls and women's football is in such a healthy place. Like you mentioned there, obviously last year with the Women's Euros, I was at Wembley for that as well. It was a brilliant day. And you feel yourself just being captivated, because it's just football. It's not men's football or women's. It's just a football game, and it's like your country have just done something remarkable, and to be there was just incredible. But like I say, I think the state of girls and women's football in particular is brilliant. And I think it's in very, very good hands. Moving forwards, 100%.
Yeah.
Right, Jamie, that is it for us for tonight. You've been absolutely wonderful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you once again for coming on.
No, thanks for
Um,
having me. Thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it. I've enjoyed it.
that's all right, not a problem. Just before we go, can you tell everybody where they can find you doing your thing?
Yeah, so I run a business called Jamie Cassidy Soccer Schools. So we're based in Bicester in Oxfordshire. So you could find us on Facebook, Jamie Cassidy Soccer Schools, or we're on Instagram, we've got a website, obviously, jamiecassidysoccerschools.co.uk. But yeah, no, thank you so much for having me.
That's all right, not a problem. And like I say, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for us for tonight. Hope you've all enjoyed it. And don't forget to like the video, comment your thoughts on anything that was discussed tonight in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. And we have more things coming up in the coming weeks. If you are a football fan, we'd love to get you on talking about your football club in our From the Stands series. Any other coaches, feel free to get in touch, and we will have another From the Dugout series or episode from that particular series as well. But until then, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you all very, very soon.